Welcome back to the show. I'm Coach Seth. I'm joined with Coach Mia. And today we are continuing a conversation we started several shows ago, talking about it's really more of a question. At the beginning of every year, I think it's so important to stop and pause and just ask the question, am I winning at the level I want to win? It's a fresh start, it's a new year, and just that simple question will cause you to pause and think about my family, my finances, my health at work. Am I going through the motions? Have I settled? Or am I winning? What do I want to accomplish this year? There's something so powerful about that question. And so there's really three reasons that we've been talking about. And if you haven't listened or watched the last part of these series, they've been very powerful. There's three things that will help you win in 2021. 3 reasons you'll win, 3 reasons you'll lose. Vision, have to have a vision. Execution, got to be able to carry out the vision. Vision without execution is hallucination, according to Thomas Edison. He knew a thing or two about vision. But lastly, relational skills. You can have the best vision in the world. You can execute like a maniac. But we all know people who have a level of success, but they're not fulfilled in life. Mm-hmm. They don't have that richness of knowing they're doing life. They have a community, a family that they're doing life with. That's so much of happiness and success in life. So relational skills is our final show on this series. Super excited about it.
Yeah, I'm excited too. When you say that about people that are successful, but that they lack the relational skills, the relationship almost becomes like with the success, and they almost eliminate the people because they don't have time to build those relationships because it takes time.
It takes time, and what you always hear about from Super Bowl champions or people that reach a high level of success, they sprint. It's like they're in this race to get to the finish line. They win the Super Bowl, and then in that moment they're like, that's it. And then what happens is realization dawns that the last 5 years or 10 years or how many years it was, that was actually the Super Bowl. It was the journey. Yeah. Those are the memories that are fulfilling. That's what they think about when, for the next 20 years of their lives, all they think about is they relive the days in the locker room or the days in the office or the days with family. They're reliving all those relational moments. Mm-hmm. It's not about a trophy.
Right.
It's not even about a bank account. So those relationships are so huge. And there's one more tip I want to give you on how to make sure in 2021 you win relationally. And it's a simple concept we talk about a lot here at 5 Star Life. And it is one of the most powerful concepts I've ever heard. I met a gentleman who really was a mentor to me through one of the most difficult times I've ever had in my life. Now, being mentored, you can be mentored by people that you listen to on a podcast. You can be mentored by people from reading their books or physical people. This guy, I don't know him super well, but he was there for about an hour of my life at an important time in my life. I was actually in transition. There's some things going on. I was publicly being lied about, which I've always had great relationships. It's one of my strengths. And so things weren't going well, and people came around me and were like, oh, this is, what's happening to you is unfair. We're sorry this is happening. And they're giving me these theirs, right? And this guy, 20 years older than me, came to me and said, Seth, let me help you. He said, I'm going to give you 4 words that if you live by them, they'll change your life. He said, I heard this from a guy who trains people all over the world. He said, the 4 most important words that will give success to any leader, to any parent, to anybody that wants to win is refuse to be offended. Think about that. Refuse to be offended. Now, I just got done sharing with this guy, in over a few minutes, how I was being mistreated. And it was like he wound up and smacked me in the face. He was like, dude, grow up, basically.
Right.
And that's kind of what that means. Grow up. Stop being sensitive, touchy. Stop dwelling on what somebody else did to you that you can't control. And then take it a step further. What if you were so dead to your own feelings that it wouldn't matter if somebody walked up and smacked you, you wouldn't be offended? What if you had that much resolve, that much self-control, so that it didn't matter what somebody did to you, they could not shake you, they could not throw you off their game? As I thought about that, I thought, that is powerful. Now, we're not talking about being stoic, we're not talking about being fake, we're not talking about not being authentic. We just previously in a previous show talked about authenticity. That's a way to win with people. But we're talking about refusing to let the actions of others cause offense and drive a wedge and cause you to focus on negative energy instead of on your vision, on where you're going. And that concept has changed my life.
Sure, and you've changed so many other lives with that concept by sharing it and teaching it. But man, it's a hard concept. I had a hard time with it at first, and I can say I'm very sensitive, but I think you kind of choose to be sensitive and allow those things to penetrate you. But yeah, it's incredible.
And we all have different personalities. Some people are what they call feelers. You feel everything, you absorb everything. And it's one of the most incredible gifts, because I'm not that way. Mia's definitely more of a feeler than I am. And it's a beautiful gift because she will pick up on so many things that I'm clueless about. So she'll pull me aside and say, hey, Seth, this is going on over here. You see this response. You see this person's shoulders. You see their eyes. And so she's picking up on all these cues. But with that personality, it's just more difficult because you're taking in all these things that, for a simple guy like me, I'm kind of naive, which is a blessing when it comes to refusing to be offended. It's not as hard for me. So with Mia's personality, you have to work harder than I do.
Oh yeah. You have to say those 4 words a lot.
So, when you think about refusing to be offended, I know there's at least one relationship, whether it's somebody at work, somebody in your own home, if you're married, you have in-laws, you have family, you have siblings. There are so many ways that you can be offended. It's incredible in family units and in work units, the things that drive people over the edge.
Well, this is an extreme example, but when you were talking about the athletes that only want to go to the Super Bowl, in a family and as a wife, if you don't have the same vision, then you're constantly going to be offended because he's going to choose practice over family time. He's going to choose, you miss out on a lot. But if you're together and say, this is 5 years, I'm going to bust it, and, then you can together go on that journey. But man, if you don't share that vision, whew.
Yeah, and me and my wife had to work through that because I have vision, I'm driven, and my wife, her calling, her vision is really for our family. Mm-hmm. That is her vision. But yet, she also she had to share my vision. Otherwise, there would be massive conflict all the time over, well, why are you doing this instead of that? You're going to miss this practice, you're going to miss this game, or you're going to miss this or that. And there's so much unnecessary conflict simply because as a unit, you don't share the same vision. Mm-hmm. That's the same in business, same in family. And so I think a collective vision is so powerful. And working on that, getting in unison on what is your vision for your family this year? And how does the individual visions you have, come together collectively for the greater vision? That's such an important thing to focus on. And that way some of those offensive things, you're just doing your vision, your spouse is just doing their vision. But if you don't have a united vision, there's so much room for conflict and offense. And that's really the test of a relationship, right? Mm-hmm. How well you're willing to work through conflict. And a part of refusing to be offended is making a decision that I'm going to believe the best about the other person. And I'm going to believe that you have my best in mind. I believe that my wife has my best interest in mind.
That's so important because my husband is so good at that. Even when other people, I'm like, oh my gosh, blah, blah, blah. He's like, you know what? I don't think they meant that intentionally. And I'm like, well, of course they, you know what I mean? You gotta process it. But most of the time people don't. Like you say you're naive and you are with it. You're just not aware, that you walked by and you didn't acknowledge me. That hurt.
Yeah, I live in a great world. I'm naive and I enjoy it. I think everybody loves me. Every once in a while I'm surprised when somebody does something and like, what? I wasn't expecting that. What's wrong? But a part of my mindset is I feel bad for them because they're missing out.
Right.
Does that sound arrogant? I'm not arrogant.
No, you're not.
I just want to add value to people. And this idea of refusing to be offended is a powerful concept that I want you to think about that relationship that is struggling, or those people that you don't enjoy being around, that you have to work with, or you have to spend time together with family. And think about because it's always related to something they did that you're offended about. And those memories, those thoughts, one of the ways that I overcome offense is I put everything back in perspective. And it's what we just talked about. You can believe that they hate you, that they're against you, or you can choose to be naive. And it's a choice. I'm just going to give them the benefit of the doubt that they weren't trying to be against me. And if they come out and say they hate your guts, then, well, that's probably a little bit different, right? But you still don't have to be, offended about it.
Right.
What I do is I always feel bad for people that have that much bitterness. Like I literally feel bad for them. Like, my goodness, what a sad way to live life. But as far as I'm concerned, I'm going to believe the best about people. I'm going to believe they just want to help me. I'm going to believe it was accidental. And what that does is it allows you to work through conflict, because I'm not thinking, well, what's Mia doing?
Right.
Mia, why'd you do that? Right?
Yeah.
Instead, I can just say, hey, Mia, you said this and I took it this way. Is that what you meant, or did I take it wrong? God forbid we actually take something wrong.
Right. And think how much energy we spend doing the opposite of, thinking. I'm trying to think of what you're thinking. I mean, how ridiculous is that?
And it's endless negative energy. And 2021 is a year that is supposed to be filled with positive energy, moving you forward towards your vision. You can have amazing relationships. You can have a great vision. You can execute with incredible brilliance and discipline, but you can enjoy the journey and experience the richness of relationships, doing life together, letting people in. Hope this is helpful. Want to encourage you, if you missed the first part of this series, go back and check them out. Remember, 5 Star Life offers so many curriculums, trainings for your school, for your business, even for your family. You can check those out at 5starlife.org. Thanks so much for tuning in.